Okay, so welcome everyone to the Ironman Florida course preview and race week tips with Coach Jackie Miller. Jackie has been coaching for 15 years. Over 8 of them are with QT2 Systems. She's raced Ironman Florida 3 times, and when she's not racing there, she is attending there. She's attended every year since 2008. She coaches all levels of triathletes. In addition to coaching, Jackie is on the QT2 Leadership team and is the QT2 and OutRival Racing team manager. And with that, I will turn it over to Jackie.
Thanks, Reem. And Reem and I coach together.
Yeah.
So make a good team. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening. I know this is a hard time for everyone with dinner and getting home from work and kids and all that. So thanks for joining us. And this will be recorded. So if there's any information you feel like you want to go back and listen to again, we will be sure to get the link out. Yeah, so let's get started. So as Reem said, I have raced Ironman Florida 3 times. And I have been going up every year since 2008, whether it's spectating, coaching, cheering, drinking beer, whatever. It's actually one of my favorite weeks of the whole year. It's just always fun no matter what. So I'm looking forward to being up there in less than 2 weeks. And I hope you guys are sliding into your tapers this week and looking forward to a little bit of downtime and starting to think about what to pack and all that jazz. So those are some of the things we'll be going over tonight. So we're going to start with, why is my thing not advancing? Okay, there we go. Not sure why this isn't going, but here we go. So with QT2, which was the first of our many brands that we have now, we came up with 5 cornerstones of racing, and we use these cornerstones as we coach athletes. And for all of our presentations, we start with our 5 cornerstones. The first one being training, which you guys are just winding up now. The second one being nutrition and rest, nutrition being your day-to-day nutrition, your workout and race fueling, and the rest or recovery in between. Those 3 things go hand in hand. They're all 3 very important on your preparation for your race. Next, our third cornerstone is race fueling, and that's the thing you've been working on during your training, nailing down your fueling for race day. Hopefully you guys have all that nailed down by now, and you've got it figured out, dialed in. Also, your pacing for race day. If you have a coach, your coach will go over your pacing with you leading into the race. And if you do not have a coach, you need to think of the whole day. We'll discuss it as we go along, but just think of it as a long aerobic effort type of day. Those 2 cornerstones make up the execution of your race day. And the 5th cornerstone of racing and training is mental fitness. And mental fitness is just as important as your physical training and your nutrition and your fueling. And you should be with the downtime coming into tapering, you should be working on your mental fitness. It's actually something you should always be working on, but especially in the couple weeks leading into your race. Each day, I always advise athletes to take just a couple seconds, doesn't even have to be minutes, in the morning before getting out of bed or at night before going to sleep at night. And just do a quick visualization of your race day, as far as like putting yourself on the beach. And what are you using all 5 senses? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? All 5 senses. I didn't name them all, but you got them. You know what they are. And start with your toes in the sand on Panama City Beach, all the way through the swim, the transition 1, the bike, the transition 2, run, and the finish line. And I like to say you can either visualize yourself looking out as you are actually racing, or as a bird's eye view, you're up in the sky looking down upon yourself, and picture everything going smoothly, picture the perfect race day, but also picture some mishaps as to, if my chain drops or if I drop some of my nutrition, what am I going to do to deal with this calmly? And those visualizations will really be beneficial to you on race day. A lot of people think it's hokey, but it actually has been proven to work. I also like people to write their goals down, the goal times, if they have them, and kind of stare at them daily, and memorize those goal times as well. Just a couple of the mental training aspects you can use. All 5 of these make up your race outcome, how you end up doing once you cross the finish line. When you cross the finish line, not if you cross the finish line. All right, so let's start with Ironman week. That starts on Monday, 1 week from yesterday. The week you are packing and heading up to Panama City or down to Panama City. First of all, while you're at home, make a list of everything that needs to go in the gear bags that you will be receiving. We'll go through the gear bags in just a minute. What I like to do is I make my list, and then I get the really big Ziploc bags, not the freezer size, even bigger than that. And I write on the outside of the Ziploc with a Sharpie everything that needs to go in that bag. So for example, what do I need to put in my swim to bike bag? What do I need to put in my bike to run bag? I pack those bags at home. And then once I get my bags at the race site, all I need to do is dump that bag into the bag that you will receive on check-in. It just makes, once you get to Panama City, it makes it a lot less stressful, because I guarantee you're going to make your piles at home and you're going to go through them 122 times before you actually get to race day. So start making piles in the corner of your bedroom now. Just lay them out on the floor and get those bags and just start kind of lay the bags on the floor next to your piles. Go through your piles as often as you need to up until when it's time to leave, and then be done with it. Once you get to Panama City, don't think about it anymore, because there's so many other things to worry about, that your gear should be completely 100% done when you get up there Wednesday or Thursday. Arrive to the venue early. So things are a little different now since COVID. You used to just show up and get in line and check in for your bags and your timing chip and your swim cap. And I would always advise people, if you get there on Wednesday, don't check into your condo, go straight to the venue and check in. If you'll get there on Thursday, go straight to the venue and check in. The earlier you check in, the less time you're going to be spending standing outside in the sun, waiting in the line. So now with COVID, what you have to do is sign up on active.com for a check-in time. They're going to give you a QR code. This QR code is very important. You will need it to get through the check-in line. So it's going to come via email. You can pull it up on your phone, but make sure you have that and a photo ID ready when you get there on Wednesday or Thursday. So when you sign up on active.com right now, or whenever you do it, if you haven't already, try to get as early time as possible, because the lines just get longer and longer the later you wait. And just like at Disney World, when you go through one of the rides and they shoot you out in the gift shop, Ironman is very smart and they do the same thing. So once you get through check-in, you're going to end up in the merchandise tent. So go ahead, shop early. Most people, myself included, have a little phobia about buying something that says finisher on it before you actually do the race. But if there's anything else there you want, the bike kit, coffee mug, bumper stickers, go ahead and get that early. Shorter lines in the merchandise tent, more things to choose from, more sizes. And you want to try to limit your time at the expo once you get out of there as much as possible. So, check in, do your shopping, and try to stay out of the expo area. Once you've checked in, you've shopped, you've looked through all the expo tents, then you're going to try to hydrate. Well, you've been hydrating all week, but continue to hydrate, and then stay off your feet as much as possible. There's nothing you need to be sightseeing, hiking, biking, all the stuff. There's nothing major you need to be doing on Ironman week. Nothing's more important than resting. One of the best things you can do the day before a race is go see a movie, watch TV, read a book, just very quiet things that are not causing you to use up any extra energy. As I said before, don't hang out in the expo all the way up till the time of the race. So the day before the race, you should have had your shopping done. You should have looked through the expo tents. You don't need to check it. You don't need to go to the check-in line anymore. So there's no reason to go through the expo the day before the race. Another tip, I know sometimes, especially if you're on a racecation, you're, wanting to go out to dinner and experience the culture of wherever you're racing, but try to stay away from spicy, fatty, and fibrous foods in the couple of days prior to the race. These can cause any kind of GI distress in your body that you do not want on race day. You want everything cleaned out. No GI distress from eating jalapenos on nachos the day before the race. Save that for after the race. Another thing about hanging out in the expo too much is you start to second guess your fitness. You start to second guess your training because you're looking at everybody else, and everybody all of a sudden looks way more fit than you, stronger than you, faster than you. Or you'll hear people talking like, oh, I did 10 100-mile rides for my training, and I did 20 20-mile runs. And then you start second guessing what you did in your training. This is not the time to second guess your training. Your training is done. Whatever you have accomplished is accomplished. There's nothing more you can do at this point. So there's no reason to start asking yourself questions if you've done enough. On Friday, the day before the race, you're going to want to taper your food. Friday should be your biggest, be a huge breakfast, heavy on the carbs, pancakes, toast, a couple eggs for protein, some potatoes. Nothing too greasy, not greasy potatoes, but a lot of carbs, some protein. That's your biggest meal of the day. Lunch is a medium-sized lunch, something like a half a sub or some rice and chicken or whatever it is that you like to eat, but a medium-sized meal. And then dinner, you should eat fairly early in the day and make it pretty light. Not that you're starving when you go to bed, but you want to make that your lightest meal of the day, just so that you're not going to bed with a really full stomach that keeps you awake at night. And when you wake up, your food is pretty much digested. Race week, we already talked about check-in, get there as early as possible. We're going to go over the athlete briefing times in just a moment. Those are very important, especially if this is your first time Ironman. It's important to attend the athlete meetings. The race director will be there going over any last minute course changes, anything to look out for, potholes in the road, traffic, where to be aware of traffic, things like that, course info. So just be sure to attend one of those athlete briefings. They have a lot of them. Try to do a practice swim early in the week when you arrive in Panama City, especially if you are not used to saltwater swims. It's good to get out there in the Gulf and just kind of get a feel for the water. I always recommend, if it's possible, to try to do that practice swim around the same time that you're going to be racing, so that you can see where the sun is in the sky. You can pick out some sighting points if you can't see the buoys. You can get a little bit of a feel for the water that way. If you have time, it's a good idea to preview the course. You can drive the bike course, you can drive the run course, or you can bike the run course. But get a sense for what where the turns are, what the roads are like, where the hills and bridges are. That's just helpful on race day. Again, I already said this 3 times, but shop the expo early in the week. These are the gear bags you are going to receive at check-in. You will get a morning clothes bag, a bike gear bag, a run gear bag, bike special needs, and run special needs. I always like to advise decorating your bags. Put some colorful duct tape, scribble on them with markers, put some ribbons on just one of the little strings. Don't tie it together, but just something to make your bag a little bit more visible. So when you're running up on it on T1 and T2, you can kind of spot your area a little bit better. That used to be more important when bags were all in piles, but now, as far as I still know, with the current COVID protocol, the bags will go under your bike. Whereas if you've done Ironman Florida in the past, you know that the swim to bike bag is in one area when you're running off the swim, and then the run bag is somewhere else. As of right now, as far as I know, the bags will be under your bike. In your swim or morning clothes bag, you want to consider this bag, what you're going to do with after you get into the water. You're going to put whatever clothes that you've worn while you're, getting your bike ready to race. You're walking around waiting for the race to start. Sometimes it's chilly up there in Panama City, and you will want a sweatshirt or some sweatpants. So if you don't have a family member or a friend with you, you can put those clothes into your morning bag and drop them at the swim start, and you'll get those back at the end of the day. So what I like to put in there are things I'm going to need for the swim. I will put on for the swim and then change and put my morning clothes into that bag. So what do you need for the swim? You need your goggles. You need the swim cap that they will give you at check-in. You will need your timing chip. You will need your wetsuit, most likely, body glide, a small water bottle to take when you to drink when you take your gel. These are all the things that you may or may not want to put for your swim. Your swim to bike bag. This bag will be blue bag for the bike. This is what you're going to wear on the bike. You put in this bag. And then you will put your swim gear, your wetsuit, everything. When you're done swimming, you're going to dump your bike stuff out, put it all on, and then you're going to put your swim gear into your bike bag. So when you're packing your bags, what you will put in this is your race belt with your number attached, your helmet, your bike shoes, your socks, your sunglasses, a small towel, body glide or chamois butter, a snack or gel if you think you'll need it, and sunscreen. There are no sunscreen volunteers this year, again, because of COVID. So you will be required to put on your own sunscreen. There's no changing tents. Everything is done at your bike this year. So if you're thinking of the big changing tents in years past where you go in and change your clothes, you sit on chairs, all the volunteers are helping you, that is not here this year. So everything's done at your bike. What I like to do is I call it a bath in a bag. And I like to get a wet washcloth that's very, very wet, a little bit of soap on it. I do this the night before in my condo or hotel, wherever you're staying. And then I put it in my bag. And that way, as soon as I get out of the water, I just do a quick, 5 seconds, just take the washcloth, face, arms, legs. And then that way you're getting all the salt water off. And you just feel a little bit better starting your bike that way. And the salt water, leaving it on, it dries and becomes crusty and can cause chafing. So that's just one little tip that I like to have in my bag, but everybody likes to have their own things. So here's your swim to bike bag. Bike special needs. This is a bag that you will put anything into it that you will want at mile 56 on the bike. You do not have to stop at special needs. You're not required to stop. You don't have to put a bag out if you don't think you're going to need it, but you might want to, even if you don't think you're going to stop, it's always good to have just a backup there just in case. Things you want to put in this bag is any spare nutrition you'll need. So if you're going to switch bottles off because you're using something other than Gatorade Endurance, any special treat. If you think like, oh, I want a Snickers bar at mile 56 and I want to, or I want some potato chips, those go into this bag. A spare tire and a CO2, just in case you had a flat on the first 56 miles and you've used all your stuff. If you want to reapply sunscreen, if you need to reapply body glide, these are anything you think you're going to need at the halfway point on the bike. Next is your red bag, red for run, bike to run. So now this bag, just the same as your swim to bike bag, your run gear is going to be in this bag. And once you put your run stuff on, you're going to then put your bike stuff back in this bag. Again, in the past, there's been volunteers to do this for you. That will not be the case this year, as far as I know. So you're going to have to take that little moment to make sure all your bike stuff is shoved back into your run bag, so you don't lose that $200 helmet, your $200 bike shoes, etc. So in this bag, you're going to have your race belt with your number attached if you didn't wear on the bike, visor, hat, fresh socks if you wear socks on the bike and you want to put fresh socks on for the run, your running shoes. Again, the Ziploc with a wet cloth. I like to do this again on this transition too, just to get all the bike grit off. Again, just a quick wipe face, arms, legs real fast. And then you smell a little bit fresher. You feel a little bit better and you feel like you're starting to run fresh. A towel, body glide, spare nutrition. Next, you have your run special needs bag. Run special needs, again, it is not mandatory. It will be at mile 13 on the run. Again, same thing, anything you think you're going to want on the halfway point of the run. If you're running with a fuel belt and you want to refill because you're not using what's on the course, here's where you'd put your refill bottles. Again, a special snack if you think, oh, I'm going to want a piece of pizza. Kidding. not a good choice, but just whatever. One definite thing you're going to want to put in there is a warm, thin, long sleeve tech shirt, because it does tend to cool off in the evening. So if you are planning on being out there pretty well into the evening, you can get chilly. So have a long sleeve shirt in there. You can get glow tape at the Expo, and you can put the glow tape. It used to be required that you had glow tape on you if you're going to be out after dark. Keep in mind, it is late into the fall, and it does get dark up there between probably 5:30 or so. So we'll be dark early. So you can put the glow tape on your shirt. You can also put it on the four corners of your bib pre-race. You could put a glow stick necklace in your, or bracelets in your special needs bag. Anything you think you might need, such as Band-Aids, BioFreeze, Bengay, and maybe a pair of extra socks in case you've sweat through the first pair, you're getting some blisters, and you just want a fresh pair of socks. Some people will put a new pair of socks on. Do not put anything in there in either one of your special needs bags, especially the bike. You will not get the special needs bike bag back. A semi truck will take it out to mile 56. And I think they pretty much just toss everything. So don't put, a backup $200 helmet in there, because you are not going to get it back. Your run special needs bag, you will probably get back, but you do have to go back on Sunday at a given time to collect your special needs bag. So again, don't put a brand new pair of running shoes in your special needs bag just in case you don't go back to get it. Now we get to race day. This is one of my favorite quotes in relation to Ironman. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So you have this perfect day plan. You have your pacing plan that your coach gave you. You've been picturing this day for a year now. You have your fueling nailed down. And I guarantee 99% chance something isn't going to go as expected on race day. And what I think that's the beauty of Ironman is because always something happens you're not expected. And it just makes you think on your feet and figure out a way to solve the problem and continue on. So you just got punched in the face. You're not, something you didn't expect. So expect that to happen, because it will. You don't know what is. Maybe you've had IT band issues for the past 3 months, and on race day they never pop up, but you have 10 toes that are blistered, and you were never expecting that to happen because you never blister, or you get a flat tire, or you drop your chain, or you lose your bottle on the bike, or you think you're going to swim an hour and 15 minutes and it was an hour and 45 minutes. It's okay. Things like that happen. You cannot let it ruin your day. It's a long day out there, 140.6 miles, and a lot of things can happen. So you just have to take it as it comes. And okay, my swim was a half an hour longer than I expected, but it's okay. I'm not going to let it ruin the rest of my day. Again, it's my favorite thing about Ironman is just like when those things happen, you have to think calmly. How am I going to deal with it? I always like to use red light, yellow light, green light. So let's just take an example. Your chain drops as you're at bike mount. What do? You can either freak out and start screaming and crying and yelling, and now it's going to take you extra long to get your chain back on because you're panicking, or you can red light, stop, calm down a moment, yellow light. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix this problem calmly? Green light. Okay, I fixed the problem. I'm going to carry on now. So you need to just deal with those events calmly. Readjust your goals as needed. Okay, even if it's your first race, we all have that little secret time goal, that we have in mind. And chances are maybe we don't meet that time goal. Again, just readjust your goal. So, okay, well, I wanted to finish in 12 hours, but okay, I can see I have 5 miles to go. I'm at 11 hours and 45 minutes. 12 hours isn't going to happen. So let's readjust. Maybe I want to just have fun in the finish shoot, high five the kids, and be able to finish with a smile on my face and have a great finish line picture. So just readjust your goals throughout the day as the day progresses. It's the athletes who deal with the unexpected situations in a rational manner that make it to the finish line. It's the athletes that have a problem and they freak out over the problem and they can't figure out a way to fix it. those are the ones that are going to have a problem getting to the finish line. So don't be that athlete. Deal with problems calmly, or unexpected issues, I should say. Just some real general tips for racing Ironman. Always stay in the moment. Race in the moment. Don't think about what has happened or what might happen in the future of the race. So, okay, I had a flat tire. Now my day is ruined. Nope, it's not. You just keep moving forward and don't think about, oh gosh, I only have 10 miles left. What if I get a flat tire on those last 10 miles? You can only race, think about what you're doing each moment in time. So what can you control? I can control right now. I'm not worrying about what has already happened. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen at mile 25. I'm just thinking, I'm controlling my pacing. I'm fueling. I am thinking positively and having a strong mind. Those are the three things you control: your pacing, your nutrition, and your brain. Nothing else you have to worry about. Break the race into smaller chunks. When you're standing in the sand, getting ready to start your day, if you start thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to go over 140.6 miles today. I'm not going to be able to do this. I've never done this in training. I've never put all three things together. You're going to panic. So think there's three events. There's a swim, then there's a bike, then there's a run. And you can even break each event into smaller chunks. The swim is 2 loops, or I'm going to take one buoy at a time. The bike is aid station to aid station. I'm going to bike 18 miles and I'm going to get a Gatorade. I'm going to bike 18 more miles. I'm going to take a gel. And then on the run, you can say it's 2 loops. It's 26 1-mile jogs. However it breaks down easier in your mind is the way to look at the race. Never look at the whole race. Never look at 112 miles. Never look at 26 miles. Break everything down into small, manageable pieces. There's going to be tough times on the race, especially the run. Never had a chance to put it all together. You don't know what it's like especially if it's your first one to cover this many miles. So have something in your mind to help you get through the day and the nights. It's whether it's a mantra, it's something in your mind, that a thought, a vision. Think about all the time you've spent away from your friends and family, all the times you had to say, no, you can't do this because you have to train. Make all this past year count on race day. When you're running on the run course, unless you're professional racing for money or unless you're a Kona qualifier, take a moment to hug your friends or your kids when you see them on the race course. It's a really long day for them too, especially your kids. So give them a moment of time when, they get super excited to see you on the race course, especially the run. And they only see you for a second, a few times throughout the day. So give them a second to give them a hug, give them a kiss, and continue on. Again, unless you're like trying to get to Kona or you're racing for money. Otherwise, make that little second of time. Having the health, the strength, and the financial means to do Ironman racing, because we know it's very physically demanding, it's very financially draining, and it takes good health and good body structure to be able to do long distance racing. It's a gift, and you're blessed to be able to do this. Remember this on race day. Remember that you chose to do this sport. We get to do this sport. We don't have to do this. No one is making us do this. So appreciate the day and appreciate having the strength and the health to be able to do it. All right, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of the race. Here's the event schedule. You can find it online, Ironman Florida. You probably have looked at it already. If you haven't, make sure you familiarize yourself with the event schedule. Print it out, bring it to the race venue with you. You will need to look over it to know when everything's going on. Right here, you can see where the athlete briefings are. They're Wednesday, 11 and 2, pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There is a pro panel on Thursday at 1 o'clock. So if you're interested in hearing what the pros have to say, then show up at that meeting. It's always fun to hear what they have to say. This year was originally a female only pro race, but from what I've gathered, the males are going to be racing now as well, since Ironman California was originally a male pro race. So we're going to have all the pros racing at Ironman Florida, which is always fun. Usually like on the finish line when we're starting the run. So it's always encouraging, but no, just kidding. So some important information, athlete check-in is on Wednesday and Thursday from 9 to 6. Again, like I said earlier, you will have to sign up ahead of time for this, different than in years past. In the years past, you just show up and you get in line. That is not the case. You sign up, you're going to get the QR code. You bring the QR code on your phone, or you may print it out on paper and a photo ID, and they will ask to see that when you get into the line. They will not let you in without your QR code. Once you check in, you are going to get all the things at check-in. You're going to get your timing chip, your swim cap, all your bags, all your swag. And then you are also going to sign up for a bike drop-off and gear bag drop-off time. If you want to be by your friends, at least the way they have been doing it this past year with COVID, is normally you're assigned a rack prior to the race. However, lately what they've been doing is if you want to be on a rack with 5 of your best friends, then you sign up for the same time for check-in. So 11 to 1 on Thursday. You all go to check-in together. You're in line together, and they give you the bike rack numbers in the order that you were in line. So if you're with your 5 friends and you're 500, 501, 502, 503, 504, 505, you're all going to be on the rack next to each other, which is, it's a lot of fun. Yes, so that's that. Bike and gear bag drop off. Like I just said, you're going to go at your assigned times. You're going to drop your bike and gear bags off all at the same time. And I guess now a little different again, in the same place. Gear bags go under your bike. Make sure if there's rain in the forecast that you can double bag your things inside your gear bags, because it's just the drawstring bag. So if you don't want wet running shoes, you can put them in the Ziploc bags and then throw the Ziploc bags into your gear bag. And then just be sure the morning of the race to undo everything in your gear bag so you're not fiddling with multiple different things during transition. Kind of already went over this. This is just what you're going to get at check-in when you check in that day with your QR code. Yes, your timing chip, you have to activate that. Do not leave the check-in tent without going to the person at the little table. He's going to activate your timing chip. Very important if you want your race to count. You're going to get a wristband, and they're going to put it on for you, and you have to leave that on until after the race. That's going to be your race number. It's going to allow you in and out of transition. It's going to allow you to pick up your bike at the end of the race. You're also going to get a bike checkout ticket. This is for you to give if you have a friend or a family member there with you, and you want them to get your bike so you don't have to do it after you cross the finish line. You will give that checkout ticket to them. They can pick it up anytime after 6:30 p.m. It's really nice to finish your race and have all your gear bags and bike already picked up and put away in the car or back at your condo, wherever it might be. And then that way, once you cross the finish line, you don't have to go do all that. Race morning. Exciting and scary all at the same time. There are no body markers. Again, new COVID protocol. There will be no body marking. There's no race. Well, they haven't been doing race tattoos. They were last year at Gulf Coast / Ironman Florida. Last year they did race tats, but lately from what I've seen and what I've heard, there is no more body marking. The athlete guide also for Ironman Florida says there's no body marking. Transition opens at 4:45 and closes at 6:30. Please do not be one of those people running in at 6:15, frantically trying to get all your things done. Get there as early as you can. It's better to expect something that is going to go wrong that morning and allow plenty of time, so you're not trying to pump up a pop tire or change a popped tire, or someone stole all your gels off your bike and now you have to go replenish them all. Just expect something unforeseen to be happening. Get there in plenty of time. If you have time to kill, fine. Then you go sit down somewhere and chill out. But you do not want to start an Ironman event frantically running in at the last minute to transition. I always like to recheck my gear bags to make sure everything's still in them that I put in there, just in case anyone happened to go through my bags, or they were moved, or they got shuffled just underneath someone else's bike accidentally. So race morning, go back, make sure your bags are still where you left them, make sure everything in the bags is still as you left it. Again, no body marking. You will be identified, the race officials will identify you by swim cap number on your swim cap on swim, bike helmet stickers on the bike, and on the bike, you will also have stickers, and your run bib on the run. At 6:30, you're going to line up in Pier Park. You're going to self-seed yourself. If you have never been to a race where you self-seed, how it works is, it's just like if you've ever done a running race and you want to go into a pace group and you're like, okay, I want to run this half marathon and I want to finish 1:45. So I'm going to go behind the pace guy that has the 1:45 sign. Same thing on the swim. There'll be a person with the sign saying under 1 hour, 1 hour to 1:10, 1:10 to 1:20, 1:20 to 1:30. And then it goes, I think, by the 15 or 20 minutes, 1:30 to 1:45, 1:45 to 2 to 2:20. So whatever you think your swim time is going to be, you're going to go into that group, and then they're going to escort you through Pier Park, across the street, down to the beach, and you're going to line up on the beach until they start sending athletes into the water.
Quick question, Jackie.
Mhm.
So those times, those are the finish times, not the pace per 100.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you think it's going to take you an hour and a half to do 2.4 miles, you get in the group that says 1:20 to 1:30, or
Okay.
1:30 to 1:40, 1:35 to 1:45, whatever. Yes. So at 6, the pros will start before the age groupers, and then PC athletes will start after the pros, and then they start putting the age groupers in the water at 6:55. 6:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. you can get your bike, or your friends and family can go get your bike and your gear bags. Here is the swim course. This is the second year Ironman Florida has been held at Pier Park. Last year was the first. Before that, it was a whole different side of Panama City. The new swim course is still 2 loops. You do exit the water. You're going to swim out and around the pier. You're going to come back, run under the pier, and re-enter the water. If you are unfamiliar with Gulf swims, saltwater swims, and you're used to fresh lake water swims, there are some things to get used to. That is why we recommend trying to do a little practice swim when you get to Panama City. It might be flat like a lake. It might be really big waves. It could be anything. It could be anything in between. The water tends to be pretty clear this time of the year in Panama City. It's actually quite beautiful at times. You may see some wildlife in the water. Like a lot of times you will see jellyfish, but they're normally way down deep, where the water's just so clear you can see them, and it freaks you out a little bit, but usually they're down low where you don't they don't bother you. So try not to let it freak you out too much. There can be currents, there can be riptides. If the riptides are too bad, they may change the swim. If the swim does tend to be big waves, it is better to try to swim under the wave versus swimming over top of it or through it. So you're swimming out to start your swim, which is where the waves will be hitting you. Once you get out, past the breakers, usually it may be choppy, but it's not going to be the big waves that knock into you. But so if you're entering the water and it does tend to be a big wave day, try to dive under the waves versus swimming on top of them. It's just, you won't feel them that way, and it's just a little bit more efficient. You will most likely, depending on the weather, if it's, a semi-sunny day or sunny day, you are going to want to wear tinted goggles. Have clear goggles as a backup, but 90% of the time you're going to want to wear tinted goggles. Ironman Florida. You're going to swim out, and the sun is going to be behind you. You're going to make that turn, and you'll have the sun a little bit in your eyes, but when you start heading back to shore, you're going to be swimming, at least for the first loop, possibly the second loop, directly into the sun. So a lot of times you can't even see the buoys because the sun is so bright. So when you go out there to do that practice swim the day or 2 days before the race, again, try to get out there early in the morning when you know you're going to be swimming for the race. Swim towards the shore and find a building or a rooftop or something to sight off of that's taller than the buoy. So that way, when you're heading into the shore, you can swim for the building versus looking at the little buoys. Again, due to COVID, there are no wetsuit peelers, so it's going to be up to you to get your own wetsuit off. And wetsuits can be worn for age groupers at 76.2 and lower. Temps are usually in Panama City, usually in the low 70s. I think only one year that I've been up there has it not been wetsuit legal. And if it is not wetsuit legal and you choose to wear a wetsuit, you will have to go in a separate non-wetsuit wearing, a wetsuit wearing group. You will start after everyone else has started, and your results will not count. If you, if you were to podium or get a Kona spot, your results would not count if you chose to wear a wetsuit on a non-wetsuit swim. And honestly, if it's a non-wetsuit temperature, there's a reason for it, because the water, you don't need a wetsuit. So if you think you're going to wear a wetsuit because, oh, I'm more buoyant, you're going to overheat, you're going to get hot, and you're going to start your day off tired because you've overheated yourself. So if it's a wetsuit swim, wear the wetsuit if you choose to. If it's a not wetsuit swim, don't wear the wetsuit. Swim tips. Remember, at the starting line, you're going to be so nervous, a little queasy to your stomach, butterflies, maybe nauseous, but so is everyone else. If it's your first race, you're nervous. If it's somebody's 25th Ironman, they're nervous. So I always find comfort in that when I look around at the swim start and I'm looking at people's faces and I think, I'm comfortable because I'm nervous, but so is everyone else. It's kind of like, hey, we're all in this together kind of a thing. When you're at the swim start, I think like, look at the sunrise coming up, think about all the athletes you're standing next to and how much we've all sacrificed for a whole year. We've trained hard. We all deserve to be there, and just take some deep breaths and just remember, how grateful you are to be able to do this. The first couple hundred yards of the swim is going to be really crowded. You're going to get beat up on. People are going to elbow you. They're going to grab your feet. It's not on purpose. So try not to get mad. Try not to let it upset you. If you start to panic, just pull your head up and just take some breaths and breaststroke for a little bit. And just try to know that your heart rate is going to be very high. You're going to be, going out into the water, and it's going to be hard to breathe. You're going to maybe have a little bit of a panic attack. Just know that you just got to keep swimming, take some slow, deep breaths, let your heart rate calm down, and then it'll get much easier after that. By the time you get to the second loop, the crowd has definitely broken up, and then the water starts almost making a whirlpool effect because so many people have swam the loop at this point. So now the water's almost kind of like a whirlpool. So it makes the second loops much easier than the first. I've already said the sun is in your eyes heading into the shore. Try to draft off other athletes as much as possible without relying on them for directional, for direction. So try to stay off somebody's hip or off the back of their feet without tapping their feet, because that's just not nice. But as you're drafting off this person, don't rely on them that they're swimming straight. So you still need to do your own sighting. Yep. So also I've already mentioned the rough swim under the waves, not over them. And as you start heading into shore, those last couple hundred yards, start walking yourself mentally through what you need to do. Like, okay, as soon as I get out of the water, I'm going to take off my swim cap and goggles. I'm going to unpeel my wetsuit to my waist. Once I get to my bike, I need to take my wetsuit off. I need to put my bike shoes on, my helmet, blah, 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 blah. And start visualizing what you need to do. And it just makes for a more efficient transition. With the new venue, it is a long run to T1. So don't blow it out here. Don't say like, oh, I'm going to run my 5K pace because I want to hurry up and get to my bike, because you still have a long, 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 long day ahead of you. So walk it out, jog it out, whatever you do. No need to hurry, like sprint through here. Yeah, you're going to have to go up the beach, cross the road, down the Pier Park little section to the transition area. So it does tend to be a bit of a long run in the new course. Yay, you survived the swim. So now what? So now we're going to go to T1. So I always like to think of my transition. I like to say methodical execution. I'm moving through my transition like a robot. I do everything, every race in the same exact order. I have the same exact gear. So just, take the time that you need, especially if it's your first race to, if you're going to change you actually can't change unless you're going to go to the porta potty because there's no changing tent, but just make it efficient. Keep your your gear as streamlined as possible, and try not to allow yourself any choices. Have the choices already made. Remember, we talked about in the beginning, like have everything packed when you head up there. So don't think like, I'm going to put 2 jerseys in my T1 because maybe I want to wear the red one, but I might want to wear the blue one. And I might want to wear tights. So I'm going to put those in there too. And I might want to change my helmet and my one thing. You're going to put whatever you need, you put in the bag. Don't allow choices because you're going to be a little bit panicked. And if you're giving yourself choices, it's just going to take too long in transition. Transition counts on your time. So the clock's still running. So it's not like, oh, the time's going to stop while I take my time and have a little party in transition. Clock's still running, still going to be on your final finish time. Be sure your wetsuit or any of your expensive gear, put some tape in it with your name, phone number, email. Things do tend to get lost. Last year, we had an athlete lose a wetsuit. Well, she didn't lose a wetsuit. Somebody accidentally took her wetsuit. She couldn't find her wetsuit. So we thought someone stole her wetsuit or accidentally took it. It was days later. It wasn't in lost and found. Days later, she was contacted and they accidentally took her wetsuit because it looked just like theirs. And so she got it back. So make sure you have your name, phone number, email on your expensive gear in case it gets shoved somewhere and somebody picks it up. Again, this year, no changing tent. So it's up to you to repack all your gear back into your gear bags. So take just a second to look around and make sure everything's packed back in your bag and not lounging around the ground. The bike. If you're from up north, you're going to say, oh, Ironman Florida is a really flat bike course. If you're from Florida, you're going to say it's not really flat. So there aren't any good climbs like at Ironman Lake Placid or Tremblant. It's nothing like that, but it's not pancake flat either. There are some false flats. You do have to cross a pretty significant bridge on the way out, somewhere right before mile 10, and you also have to cross it on the way back at mile 90 something. So I always tell myself in the way back, like, really? There's a bridge here at the end of like, this is so cruel. But it is a pretty good sized bridge. So keep that in mind. The bike course, without a doubt, is one of the windiest bike courses you'll ever be on. I've never been up there and had it not be windy at Panama City in November during Ironman. So just be prepared for wind. Some years it shifts, like you're going out and headwind, and you're like, it's fine. When I come back, it's gonna be all tailwind. And then the weather changes and the wind shifts and you coming back and it's like, wait, where's my tailwind? It's a headwind again. It's just very schizophrenic wind up there. When you're near the condos, there's going to be condos on one side of you, on the beach side, and sometimes they're on both, tall condos on both sides of you, and it's very windy in there. It's like a wind tunnel. So if you feel like you don't have good control of your bike, maybe you don't want to be on your aero bars. Just be aware of those condos. And yes, so in Ironman Florida also, because there's not any steep climbs, you are going to be in your aero bars for 112 miles if you want to be. So be sure as you're in your aero bars to stand up, do a few pedal strokes, stretch a little bit while you're on your bike, just so your hip flexors and your IT bands don't tighten up on you for the run. So yes, stay aero as much as possible. It's more efficient, but also give yourself some stretch time. The bike course is, there's not a lot of exciting things on the bike course at Ironman Florida. There's not really any good scenery and there's very few spectators. It's one big loop. So not a lot of people out there on the bike course to cheer you on. There's an aid station approximately every 18 miles. On the aid station is orange Gatorade, Red Bull, Martin Gel, and the Martin 100s, which is 100 milligrams of caffeine, Quantum energy bars, and big bars. Hopefully, if you're using these things, you've already practiced with them. If you're not using these things, have a plan on how you're going to logistically bring your nutrition with you. Hence your special needs bag. Bike cutoff times. Hopefully no one needs to worry about these. If you do, there is a hard cutoff at 10.5 hours after the last athlete enters the water. Everyone must be off the bike 10.5 hours after the last athlete has gone into the water. Highway 79, turnaround. It's a U-turn. It's mile 70. You must be there by 3:15 p.m. The final bike cutoff is at 6:10 p.m. You have to be off your bike, feet into transition 2 by 6:10 p.m. And you have to be leaving transition 2 and running by 6:25. Just a couple tips on strategies. When you're riding your bike for 112 miles, use the bike as your vessel to ensure a good run. Every single thing you do or do not do on your bike will affect your run either negatively or positively. So it is up to you to use the bike to ensure you're going to have the best marathon that you can have. This includes your pacing. Do not over bike. Make sure you're regularly eating and drinking, and make sure you're not surging. You want to steady, pedal as steady as possible, as often as possible. Someone passes you on the bike and you're like, boy, you're not passing me. So you sprint around them and you just keep doing this. That's going to shoot your legs. So try to keep the pedaling as steady as you can. Follow your pacing plan. If your coach says, I want your heart rate average to be 135 on the bike and or 175 watts for power, don't magically think on race day it's going to be like, oh, I'm feeling really good today. And I know my coach said 135 heart rate and 175 watts, but it's race day. So I'm going to have a 150 heart rate and a 200 watts. Have fun, because when you get to the run, you're going to be walking for 26 miles. And all that time you save by trying to bike too fast, you're going to lose that and then some on the run. On the bike, it's easy to stay ahead of your nutrition and hydration. You can take in more calories on the bike than you can on the run because you're not jostling around so much. So make sure you're staying on top of your nutrition. Once you bonk and you fall behind on your nutrition, it's really hard to catch back up, if not impossible. You should pee at least twice. You can pee more, but at least twice on an Ironman event bike. Whether you choose to pee on your bike or wait in line at the portalet, that is completely up to you. However, make sure you're drinking enough to know that you've peed at least twice. Again, stand to stretch your legs on the bike here and there because you're in aero position for so long. You made it through 112 miles of the bike. You got through 2.4 miles in the swim. You're on the last and final discipline, the run. When you're at mile 110, you're probably going to be like, I love riding my bike, but now I hate my bike and I'm going to sell it and I never want to see it again. And it's gross and it's sticky and it's got pee on it and I hate it. But now you have to also readjust your mind. Now you have to run 26 miles. Again, transition 2, no choices, methodical execution, move through in a systematic manner, do what you need to do and get out. Again, my bath in a bag. I mentioned it earlier, I like to do one quick wipe down just to feel a little bit fresher going out into the run. It's Florida. The sun's usually pretty bright. Sky's pretty blue. Make sure you wear sunscreen. Last thing you want to do on Sunday is, on top of like not being able to walk and being so sore in your muscles, is to have blistering sunburn all over your body. It's not fun. So make sure you have your sunscreen. The run. This run is flat. It is pancake flat. Again, it's windy because it's Panama City, but you don't feel it as much obviously as on the bike. Very straightforward run. Run course is more fun than the bike. There are a lot of spectators. It's a very spectator friendly course. You're going to see people drinking and cheering and cooking out and having parties in their tents and cheering you on. So it's a fun run. The aid stations usually have a theme. So it's kind of fun coming up on the aid stations. So basically you leave Pier Park, you run straight down Front Beach Road. You take a right-hand turn on Joan Avenue, which used to be the start of the run course. You're going to turn on Joan, do a little catty corner. You're going to go up a slight, like a little bit of an incline, tiny, tiny incline. You're going to run down to Surf Drive. You're going to turn around. You're going to come back. You're not going to re-enter Pier Park. There's a turnaround at mile 13. That's where special needs is. And you're going to turn around and you're going to do that whole thing again. When you come back to the second loop, then you're going to enter Pier Park to the finish line. Run aid stations are about every mile to mile and a half. On the run, You're gonna have a little bit more choice. Instead of orange Gatorade, you're gonna have lemon lime Gatorade. So good times. You're gonna also have Red Bull. You're gonna have Coke. You're gonna have the gels again, caffeinated and non-caffeinated. You're gonna have the quantum energy bars, fig bars, chips and pretzels, bananas and oranges. Usually they have some kind of Oreos or vanilla Oreos. And then after dark, they usually bring out the chicken broth. And if it's chilly and you've been eating sweet stuff all day, sometimes that chicken broth can taste like Outback dinner. So look for that if you're starting to get tired of all the sweet stuff. It's got some good sodium and it's not sweet. Run cutoffs. Again, you must be on the run course starting your run by 6:25. Mile 13 special needs, you have to be there by 9:30. Mile 19, which is the turnaround on Surf Drive, by 11:10 p.m. and you must cross the finish line by 12:40 or 17 hours after you start. But the course does close at 12:40. I already kind of went through this, so. Run strategy. Start your marathon off slower than what you think you need to be running. If, again, your coach is probably going to give you a pacing plan. We usually advise people to start at least the first few miles pretty conservatively. If you start a marathon too slow, you have 20-something miles to make up for it later. So don't go off with a bang, and then end up walking 20 miles later. Same as I said earlier, break the run into small parts. However you think you mentally can manage your run, whether it's aid station to aid station, out and back twice, breaking it into 5Ks, breaking it into 10Ks, whatever works for you. Unless you have the durability to run 26 miles and you're, again, trying to get to Kona or you're a professional racing for money, just walk the aid stations and get the aid down. It's just as important to make sure you're fueling as it is, keeping that pace up. So walk the aid stations and, have a rule in your mind that I'm only allowed to walk from the first trash can to the last trash can, then I have to start running again. It also resets the legs, resets the mind. If okay, at the aid station, I get to have a little walk break. Unless, again, if you're using a Galloway where, a 3-in-1 or a 5-in-1. Otherwise, if you're not using a Galloway and you don't have the durability to run all 26 miles, then walk through the aid stations. If your nutrition starts to fail, so you're starting to get GI stress towards the later miles, you feel like I can't take one more gel in, I can't drink one more sip of Gatorade, then you have to change it up a little bit. You can't just not take anything in because you're not going to make it to the end of the finish line. So slow down, take a couple sips of water, try to calm your stomach. If it's the later miles, you could try to drink some Coke. Once you start drinking Coke, you kind of have to keep drinking Coke, but the bubbles do help. And it's caffeine, it's sugar, but yeah, try to hold off as long as possible if you're going to plan on using Coke. And then again, the chicken broth, sometimes that'll help calm your stomach down a little bit. You might have to slow your pace down. Usually it passes. So don't despair. Don't think like, oh, I'm nauseous and it's going to be nauseous till I cross the finish line. It comes and goes. And on the run course, you're going to experience your highest highs and your lowest lows. All the emotions you felt in your life, you're going to feel on that run course, especially after dark. So expect there to be really hard spots on the run. And just have that plan in your head of like, okay, I know I'm going to have some spots that are really tough mentally or physically. What am I going to do when, not if, when I get to those points? What am I going to do? Have a plan in place. I always like to tell people that no matter how good you feel or how bad you feel, that is not going to last long. So when you're feeling good, embrace it. Be happy that you're feeling good and know that this happiness and this feeling good isn't going to last the rest of the race. So when I turn this corner on the street, I might, I'm going to have a crash. I'm going to not crash physically, but energy wise, and I'm going to not feel good. I'm going to ask, why did I sign up for this stupid race in the first place? And then when you're in those dark spots, know like, okay, what do I need to do to turn my attitude around? Maybe I'm getting ready to bonk, so I think I need an extra gel, or I need to look at the street lights, and every time I pass the street light, that light coming down from the light is going to give me a little energy. Or I'm looking ahead, and that girl up there in the red shorts, I'm going to try to catch her and then pass her. Just play some little games in your head to get through those low spots. Finally, you get to your victory. Well, the whole race is your victory lap. I always call Ironman, it's not a race, it's your victory lap. The race is the whole year of training that you've put in. It's all the sacrifice you made, the blood, sweat, and tears you've left out in your neighborhood, biking, swimming, running, missing out on things with your friends and family. So think of the race day as your victory lap, and take the whole day in, especially if it's your first race. You never get another first Ironman, and it's always going to be your most special. So remember, take it in and just have some memories that you remember along the course. The race can seem very daunting at times. Like I said earlier, this is kind of summary, but never look at the big picture, break it all into small parts, race in the moment, be present and aware of everything going on in your mind and your body. And I already said this a second ago, but no matter how good you feel or how bad you feel, that feeling's not going to last long. Embrace the good and get through the bad. You finally make it to the finish chute. It's that day you've pictured for so long, the day you keep picturing Mike Riley calling out your name. So when you get to the finish chute, again, as I've said before, unless you have a Kona spot ahead of you or you're racing for money, enjoy the finish line. You don't need to sprint through it. Like, high five the kids, look at everybody, listen to the music, notice your name getting called, make sure your bib's turned around and facing the front so you can get your pictures. Smile, put your arms up, whatever you want to do. Like I said, high five the kids, hug your family, smile. And then when you get through the chute, they're gonna, if you choose to, there's a side screen where they can take you and you can have your medal on and you can have your finish line picture taken. And then most important of all of this is the finish area is crazy with people. Everybody crowds around. So have a post-race meeting spot for you to reconnect with your family and friends. So in the days leading up to the race, find a spot somewhere and say, okay, after you see me finish, meet me here, meet me in front of this restaurant, or meet me in front of this stop sign, and then have your family wait in one certain area, because they may not find you as you're exiting the chute with 20 other people. Post-race, if you're going to want to hang around after the race and watch the rest of your friends finish, or you just want to cheer some finishers on, bring separate bag of clothing, warm clothes, because you're going to be cold after racing all day. Again, I always like to bring something to rinse off with, and I'll go into a bathroom somewhere, a restaurant or something, and I'll do a quick rinse, change, put some more deodorant on, and put some fresh clothes on. Bring some recovery drinks, preferably 2. Bring money for say one of your friends, can you go get me a burger and fries, or maybe you want to go to a restaurant and eat. And also don't forget to bring that bike checkout ticket for a family member to get your things. If you want to go to awards, they're at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning at Aaron Besant Park. Slot allocations and roll down is at 11 a.m. You must be present to claim your Kona slot. So even if you're close, even if you're 15th place in your age group, go to roll downs and wait till the very end. A lot of times, if one age group, if all the spots aren't claimed, it may roll down to another age group that has the next amount of large a number of people in it. So in the same gender. So, let's say men 35 to 39 didn't have a spot claim, and the next male age group, the largest age group, is men 40 to 44. That spot may go to that other age group. So even if you're close and your age group, you didn't get one, a roll down in your own age group, still don't leave roll downs until they're completely over and they're like, bye, it's done, because you just never know what's going to happen. That's it. Questions? Anything?
Hey,
How long
Jackie.
did I talk? Oh, not too bad. 40 minutes. Hey.
Question. So for Ironman Florida, did they confirm for sure that all of our bags are going to be under our bikes? I'm only asking because when I was up in Chattanooga a few weeks ago, they changed it up And when I was waiting in transition for the relay with Ken, people looked massively confused because they had a large tent and they put bags at different spots. So out of the swim, they had to pick up their bike bag, run to the spot, put it on. Then after the bike, they had to pick up their run bag, go into this large open air tent, sit in a chair, put it on, and then they had to take their bag out from going out into the run and hand it to a volunteer who put it in the waiting area. And people look so confused. So I remember listening to the race director during the athlete briefing that mentioned about that. So that's something new that nobody was really prepared for. People look massively confused coming out of T2 on what to do with their bike bag, because some people hadn't looked the day before and asked a volunteer what they're going to do with their bag, because it wasn't just drop it and leave it in that spot.
Yes, very good question. So in the past, it has been like that at all Ironman events where your bike bag goes in one area, your run bag goes in another area, and no matter what, you have to go into this tent, whether you're changing or not, and then you leave your bag and a volunteer will take it back out to wherever it belongs, to different locations, okay? That's how it has been in the past. The way it was at Ironman Florida last year and the way it has been lately at other events. And again, it's really up to the state and the race director on how they're doing the new COVID standards. Last year at Ironman Florida, it was bags under your bike and no changing tent. I could not find that anywhere in the athlete guide. It did not state that anywhere. I emailed Ironman as well, and I did not get, of course, but I did not get a response back. Not of course, but I mean, they're busy right now, so they're not going to answer some like random question right now at this point. But the best thing I can tell you is to go to the athlete briefings, and they will tell you at the athlete briefings. And as an athlete, it is our responsibility to know all the course, to know all the standards, to know all the things we need to do. So the only way we're truly going to know the answer to this question is at the athlete briefings once we get there, because it is not stated in the athlete guide at this point.
Yeah, I tried to find that, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't either. I looked too while I was planning this, but yeah, things
'Cause
are, everything's a little different this year.
Yeah, because it definitely changes strategy with no tent and no chair to sit in. Because I saw a lot of athletes were sitting down, changing from bike to run, whereas if there's no chair, doing everything standing up changes a little bit of the flow.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, so you're gonna have to find out at your athlete briefing and then prepare for whatever the situation is. Any other questions?
Rob, they did state you cannot be nude in public. Sorry. I read that. No nudity.
Yes, they.
Darn, that always makes the race way more fun.
Shoot.
Darn, COVID ruins all the fun.
Damn COVID. No midriffs. That was my statement. My son thought it was funny.
It actually was funny.
And what you said about the buoys was true. I remember at Gulf Coast, I could barely see the buoys coming in. Because they're they're like yellow and orange, and they disappear in the sun.
Yeah,
It was nearly impossible to see them. So
it's true.
I remember that now going the second time to do it differently.
Yeah. Yep. Do we have any other questions? All right. Well, what I can say I'm going to close with is it's been a really spectacular year for all of you, I'm sure. It's a long year, Ironman year, but I know you've all done your training. You've put everything, left everything out there. So when you get on the starting line, just remember that like you're as prepared as you possibly can be. There's nothing else you can do at that point. So just enjoy the day, take it all in, make some memories along the way, and be prepared. You're going to want to do another one. And when you cross you may during the race, you're going to say, I'm never doing another one of these ever. But after a few days, you're going to start to feel what they call postpartum blues, Ironman blues, which is just like postpartum blues or Ironman depression. And what it is like your life has been consumed for a year almost with training and looking at a training plan and what am I going to do tomorrow? And every day is planned around your training and your eating and your sleeping and your recovery. And then all of a sudden it's over and it's gone, and you have no training plan and you have no race plan. So you're kind of like lost mentally and physically. So, just be prepared for that feeling, unless, like I said, you already have something else up your sleeve for 2022. Just know that that's very normal. It's a little bit depressing. It'll go away, or you can just drop another $880 and sign up for another Ironman, and you don't have to worry about it. Reem, is there anything you'd like to add?
Jackie, no, before you, everyone,
Pedro!
before everyone goes, I think you missed two things on the aid stations. One is that all aid stations start with water and end with water, so it's not Gatorade the first table.
Thanks.
And the other one is the 100 milligrams of caffeine of Martin gels is quite aggressive. So the easiest way to figure out which one has caffeine or not is basically the white one is the one with caffeine. So if you don't want the caffeinated one, just don't grab the white gel, because the gray one is the one without caffeine. And one last thing is the sighting at Ironman Florida is always an issue. No matter if it doesn't look like it's choppy, even when you're on the far ends of the course, the coming into shore is always very challenging. You don't see the buoys at all, just because of the swell. So you did mention, but I think it's important to say it again, that it's important to go into the water the day before or 2 days before and see which building is aligned with the swim exit, because it makes a tremendous difference coming into shore on the swim. And from all the races I've done, this is probably the hardest swim in terms of sighting. And because of the chops, sometimes it's so hard to get in, even in the water, let alone getting out of there.
True.
So yeah, so these were the last things I wanted to mention.
Thanks. And Pedro knows a little bit about racing because he's one of our professional triathletes. And how many years have you been racing, Pedro?
Oh, 15 years. I've done Florida like 6 times.
Yeah, so Pedro's been racing as a pro. He's a coach, and he's been with us for a long time. So yeah, he kind of knows what he's saying. Yeah. So thanks for those extra tips, Pedro. Anything? Are you racing, Pedro?
Yeah, so they moved
good.
they moved the male pro field into Sacramento, from Sacramento. So I was in Sacramento and they canceled the race when
I know, it was heartbreaking.
But it was totally the right call. It was not safe to be out there. They couldn't even hold the buoys in place in the water. So they basically moved every professional that was in Sacramento male will be able to race Florida, but no one else from the outside. So I don't know exactly who's going to be there, but it's not going to be a big male pro field, but it'll be a few of us.
Awesome. Well, we'll be there. So if you need anything, just let us know. We'll be cheering for you.
I appreciate that.
All right, guys. Anything else? Oh, we will have, we will have the OutRival tent and the flags up on the run course. If you have any family or friends coming and they want to hang out under the tent, we'll have some snacks, some drinks, music, stuff like that. They can pop their chairs down there. If you want to drop anything at the tent that you might need after the race, we'll keep an eye on it for you. So just know, I'm not exactly sure where we're going to put the tent up, but somewhere on the run course. I
was just about to ask you, Jackie, because back last November, we were in front of the Calypso, and I was going to tell my Sherpa, I was like, hey, I said, I'm thinking they may park in front of that hotel again, because that was pretty close to the finish and the turnaround. So
yes, it will be somewhere around there. That way people, when they finish, they don't have to walk 5 miles down the road. So it'll be somewhere fairly close to the finish, but not in Pier Park because we're not allowed, but somewhere on that main road within the first mile.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, good luck, everybody. I'll see you up there. We'll be up there Thursday. And just reach out if you have any other questions that you maybe remember later. Just you can email me, Jackie at outrivalracing.com or Jackie at QT2systems.com. Either one works. Other than that, you guys are prepared. Just be confident. Hold your head high at the swim start, no matter how unconfident you're feeling. Just hold your head high, put your shoulders back, and act like you know everything and that you're going to have the best day ever.
Good, Jackie.
All right. Thank you,
Good
Jackie.
luck.
So
Bye, guys.
people did come in and out of this. So just a reminder, it is recorded. It'll be up on our the QT2 YouTube channel. And then we'll also post the link directly into Facebook. And just also want to mention that if anyone has any final nutrition questions, race fueling questions, we our core diet group can help you with that. So if you're not sure on the Martin gels or what things are on the course or how to work what you've done in the past, if you do, just reach out to Jackie, and she can get you hooked up with the right people.
Yep. Thanks for all your help tonight, Reem, with monitoring everything.
Absolutely. That was great. Really informative.
Now go eat your soup.
Yeah.
I'm starving. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.